And our first fight of the night is in the welterweight division as we have Randy Rude Boy Brown taking on Muslim Salikhov. I think that this fight is going to end up being the winner heads into the rankings of the welterweight division of the top 15 and what has been a quite inactive top 15 of ranks in this division, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of fun names, but I digress. The loser here probably is going to be put up into some more awkward fights where they'll be getting some of the up-and-comers, some of the contenders, and due to their ages, that's kind of how it goes. Randy Brown's been in the UFC for a long time now. I mean, he feels like he could be some prospect from how exciting he still is, but he's 11-5 in the UFC, Rick. And his losses really have only come up against some of the top names, which I think is definitely in his favor. We're talking about Jack Della Maddalena most recently, as well as a loss to Vicente Luque, who's on the main card against the Wag Boy himself, as well as Bilal Muhammad, who could potentially be on the card if something happens to Colby or Leon, as he was announced earlier this week to be the backup fighter in the welterweight title fight headlining main event. With Randy Brown, what I like about his game is his solid timing. I feel like he's very, very strong with his boxing, and I think that he should be able to outpace Salikhov because we've kind of seen Salikhov's pace slow down over the last few fights. He is reliant on that wrestling and then the counter striking. And I do think that Randy Brown checks the advantages in age. So, yes, I did say Randy Brown is getting a little bit older than you would expect from someone who kind of pops around on fight nights like he does. But Salikhov is at the ripe age of 38, which is a noticeable increase for people to get knocked out historically. We see 38 as kind of that magic number where a lot of guys deteriorate in their level of chin. And I mean, as I stated, their level of pace too. So I love the speed mismatch here for Rude Boy, but interested to hear what you have.
Yeah, I like Rude Boy in this fight as well. I can get straight to that, but the pace that the pace that Salikhov can put on is really going to be the X factor here. I mean, at 39 years old, like you said, he is slowing down. The King of Kung Fu is his nickname, and he likes to wrestle, as you mentioned, but he really isn't. I mean, he's not phenomenal at it. And he's going to probably use it to his detriment here because Brown, though his boxing and his calf kicks are a staple of his game, his wrestling is very underutilized. That's sort of where he came from. And he has submissions in his back pocket. He's got 5 today, 6 knockouts, 6 decisions. So as people like to say, a balanced fighter, sometimes that can be misleading. But he definitely has it. He's got the wrestling. But really, I think it's going to be the boxing and the jabs and being able to establish range here with that 8-inch reach advantage here in this fight. Should be able to keep him at range, but the kicking of Salikhov is a different level. His spinning kicks, his spinning attacks are fantastic. They're fun to watch, but as I said, those are very, very high energy movements. And at 39 years old, with the pace, with his speed slowing down, and with that, I really struggle to see him having some success here. He's lost 2 of 3 fights now. One was to the Leech. The Leech himself is regressing. He got hit with a 3-4 punch combo and then was dropped, got ground and pounded out of that fight and finished. And then Dalby just put a pace on him that he couldn't match. And now Randy Brown, pace-wise, he doesn't have the greatest cardio in the world. It's not bad. It's not a weakness. But, I mean, even then, it might look like he's going to be able to put the pace on a guy like Salikhov if we get to that third round. But the odds sort of reflect what we're saying, too. They've got it at Brown minus 245, Salikhov plus 210. Last I looked, and that might have moved. Let me check.
It's around the same range, I believe.
Oh, where is it?
Yeah, Randy Brown's still around minus 270 to 265, depending on where you're shopping. Actually, you can get him at minus 260 on Caesars.
Yeah, I was about to say it's moved up. So Browns continue to be the favorite. So if you're on the Brown side, like we seem to be, or like I am, Andy might be, you probably want to get in sooner rather than later. But should be an interesting fight. Andy, where do you officially go and sort of final thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, so I thought you gave some really good insight there. I love the value on this fight to not go the distance, where I think that Brown by sub is an interesting prop. I also think that if Muslim catches him at the wrong time, he could put his lights out. I'm not going to dive into those markets just yet. I'm going to go with Brown to win the fight, so he's going to be my pick for this fight. As well as I have Brown as a parlay leg at minus 260, which I will be putting him into a 2-leg parlay, which you will see the second leg later on in the prelims. So make sure to stay locked in with us as we continue on with our preview here. Rick, who do you have?
Yeah, so I've got Brown. I just think the speed and range to pair with that grappling is going to be the difference. If he stays at the kicking range and isn't able to establish his jab, he could have some problems, but I think that his camp's going to be smart and not or making sure that he's not there. But I like your point about the fight not to go the distance. That's my official bet. And I will be locking it in now. I was looking at it last night at minus 115. It's now up to about minus 125. So I'm going to get it before it gets too expensive. But yeah, I like one of these guys to finish the other, either Brown exhausting Salikhov with that range, or potentially a submission as well. But Salikhov's always ripe for a finish himself with that kickboxing and those spinning kicks. So fight not to go the distance for me. Andy's got Brown in a parlay leg. We're both going Brown in the fight. And we will see you at the next fight for Shamil Gaziev versus Martin Budai.